Welcome back to Main Street, the Craig L. Hayes Show. All right, everybody, you're listening to Main Street, the Craig L. Hayes Show. I am Craig L. Hayes, your host, and we're here with Jana Dunford for episode number 8. And this one, she figures she can wrap up her college life and all the crazy antics, going out and doing all the crazy stuff. Nah, she didn't do that stuff. I'm just messing with her. But anyways, you go ahead, carry on. Tell us more about the crazy college life, you know.
Well, so I'll just summarize by year. The second year, when I came back from my mini mission, I had made a mathematical error. So I multiplied my finances by 2 instead of adding 2, or maybe it's the other way around. But anyway, I was $1,000 short when I came back to school, and I had no apartment to live in because it got canceled or something. And so I ended up, panicking the 2 days before school started. And I called up my friend from elementary school, Melanie Reed, and said, do you have an apartment? And so she and I became roommates. And so we were together in this apartment in Applewood Apartments, and the apartments were great in a way, but our particular apartment that year was horrible because everything in the apartment broke down. The refrigerator, the stove, the water heater, anything that could break did break, and it was a nightmare. We had the water heater went out, and so we had water through all of the carpets. So we had lakes in there. One of my roommates, Belinda, she put signs up all over the house, Lake Tahoe, Lake. I can't remember. She had all named, and it was really funny, but not sanitary at all. I mean, it was not good. The germs, we didn't realize it at first when we were being funny about it, but the germs were multiplying, and we didn't realize. And so anyway, we had every single thing go wrong that could possibly go wrong. We had the girls upstairs one night. I was doing homework at the computer, and they called downstairs and said, is it okay if we practice our dance? And I'm like, okay, sure. I guess they were clogging. I don't know what they were doing, but they were booming right over my head. And as they were dancing away, it was bursting all our light bulbs in our apartment. If it wasn't one thing, it was another. It was crazy. And so anyway, and so I got really sick. Really, really sick. And so sick that I told my roommates, please go get my home teachers and to give me a blessing, because I thought to myself, if I have another night like this, I'm going to die. I am so sick. I couldn't get out of bed. I couldn't stand the lights on.
Was that from the mold
yeah,
and everything?
It was. Yeah. I'm sure it was from the mold.
I'm surprised all you guys weren't that sick. Yeah.
Well, 2 of us got really, really sick, and so they had my home teachers came over, and they said, "Can you come out in the living room to get the blessing?" Because the rule was no boys in the bedrooms. And I said, "I'm so sorry. Can you please? I'll just sit up right here on the end of my bed. I can barely even do that." I said, "I can't get out of bed." And so they came, and they just gave me a blessing right on the end of my bed, because I just knew I was going to die. I was so sick. And I did get better. And once I got better, I changed my sheets, and I found mold growing up the legs of my bed. I mean, fuzzy, thick mold growing up the legs of my bed. We had water coming in the window right where my bed was. Like the cars would drive by because we were in the basement, and the water would seep down the wall into my bedroom. I got up and I went into the kitchen after I had gotten, was well enough to get out of bed. I walked into the kitchen, and my roommates hadn't washed the dishes in days. I don't know. And I'm like, no wonder we're sick, guys. Look at the stove. They had left like tomato soup on the stove for how many days? It was covered with a thick cover of white and green mold. I'm like, no wonder we're all sick. This is crazy. And so, I started cleaning, but later in that year, my other roommate, the one who named all the lakes, she got very, very sick. And I feel so badly now, because she was crying out, and God save me, God help me, over and over and over in one night. And I wouldn't get up and help her because it was finals. And I needed my sleep. And I just feel so badly about that now. And someone took her to the hospital and she lost her semester of school, as far as I know. She had hepatitis and dehydration.
She was in bad shape.
It was bad
That's
shape.
bad, yeah.
Later on, when I'm at some doctor's office somewhere, I saw a pamphlet for meningitis. I read that pamphlet and I thought to myself, this is what I had in college. I'm pretty sure that's what I had, because I've never been so sick. It was horrible. Anyway, so we made it. I made it through that thanks to a priesthood blessing. But everyone in the ward knew that our apartment was scary, and they would avoid our house because it really was, it was just dangerous in there, and it was dirty. And anyway, that's what happened my second year. I'm so glad I survived that. And, I was grateful to be with my friend from elementary. She and I had a fun time together, but that was really, really hard. Being in that apartment. We even tried to contact the managers and nothing happened with it. So, but anyway, it got new management, and so the new people cleaned that all up. But I moved to a different apartment upstairs, and that was so my third year of college. Then I had two of my sisters stay with me for a time. They were not there the whole time, but one sister, Melanie, she stayed with me for part of the summer, and she ended up getting married to a guy in the ward and moving away. And then my other younger sister, Shelly, and I say sister because that's how I see them now, but they were my stepsisters. So, but they came and stayed with me, and my sister Shelly was there for that year. But we never had any classes together or anything, but we were there in the same apartment. And before I registered for school that year, as I was registering, I had the feeling that I should take a marriage prep class. And that made me really nervous. I thought, I don't want to take a marriage prep class, because even though, we all think we want to get married, but actually I was really afraid of getting married. I didn't want to have a bad marriage, as you could probably guess from my past.
Oh, yeah.
And so I was really afraid to take a marriage prep class. And I thought to myself, I actually really thought I would prefer to live in a tall skyscraper in New York painting pictures than to get married. And to me, living in a skyscraper, because I'm afraid of heights, and painting pictures, and I'm not an artist, so that wouldn't work, in New York City, and I don't want to live in New York City. So to me, that was a better option than getting married. And so that's how much I really didn't want to get married. So
interesting combination. Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought, I was really nervous about taking that class, but I signed up for it because I'm like, okay, God has, inspired me to take this class, so I'm going to take it. I walked into class the first day. I was shaking. I was shaking so much. I was so nervous. I'm like, I don't want to be here. I do not want to be here, but I'm supposed to be here. I'm so glad I took that class now. My teacher was great. He was so good. He answered so many questions, and by the time, his style worked really well for me and everything. And by the time I got to the end of that class, I wrote in my journal, we had to write a journal for the class. I said, I wrote, I started out this class as an offender of marriage. Now I'm a defender of marriage. And so I felt like I had made a 180 in my thinking about marriage. And I felt like, okay, I think I could actually do this. And before the semester was over, I actually got engaged to a nice boy named Curtis Winters. And I had met him before as freshmen. I had met him before. And so he was one of my zillions of friends. But ran into him again, and he was just kind and nice. And he asked me to marry him one day, and I said yes. And it was out on the sidewalk, kind of by my apartment. And I said yes. And so we were planning to get married in May, before, and he was nice. I liked his family. I thought they were great people. His mom was so nice to me. I met his grandparents. They were wonderful people. Curtis was supposed to be a band director person or something, music person. I'm like, great, sounds good. Can do that. Anyway, but before our wedding happened, my brother Roger got married. And so I went to Salt Lake, and Curtis came with me because he was going to be part of the family. And I hadn't been to the temple yet. And so Curtis he'd been on a mission. And so he went into their temple ceremony. And when he came out of Roger's wedding there, the two of us sat on the steps of the Salt Lake Temple, and he said to me, they have something that we don't have. And he said, they have a spark that we don't have. And so we talked about this, and then I drove home on the bus with him. So I missed Roger's reception because we were discussing. I said to Kathy, have you mailed all our invitations yet? And she said, no, I have been too busy with Roger's wedding. And I said, well, don't mail them. Just wait a minute. And she's like, oh no. And, but we went home and we talked for 5 hours, I think, and came to the conclusion that we were not what each other expected or wanted. And so we broke up, and I gave him back the ring that he gave to me. And I went into my room. I cried for 20 minutes, and then I was fine. And I thought, okay, hold on. I thought I knew what love was. But if I can cry for 20 minutes about this and be totally fine, then maybe I don't know what love is. And so then that threw me for a loop. And also, I didn't have an apartment to stay in because we were supposed to get married. So then I had to find a new place to live. Like, things kind of went mumble jumble for a minute. Yeah. And in my new apartment with some new roommates, I spent a lot of time in my room looking up all the scriptures on love. I went through all 4 sets of scriptures, and I looked up every single one on love to try to figure out what was love. And I did not figure that out right then, but I did feel very peaceful about it. And then anyway, and I was there in that apartment with my cousin Tiffany from my Robinson side. Anyway, it was nice, but I went back to my old apartments in the fall there for my 4th year of college. And when I went back, Spencer had come home from his mission, and he told me when he found out that I was engaged to Curtis that he had a poster of Beauty and the Beast on his wall of his mission apartment, and he took a pen and threw it at the poster, was all mad. Well, I didn't know anything about that. But I didn't, when I broke up with Curtis, then I started to write letters. I'm like, well, I just want my friends back. And so I wrote a letter to Spencer, I just want my friends back. And so when he came out to college, we renewed the friendship. I mean, we were never a boyfriend-girlfriend thing. It was just a friends all the time. And so, he came back, but I was dating lots of people. Like, I went out with a lot of different people all over the place. And so that 4th year, the first month of that last year, I was going out with another guy named Alan. And so, we went out for a month, and after that month, I'm like, no, this isn't going to work. No. And so I'm done with that. We're not doing this anymore. And then the next day, Spencer called me up and said, where have you been? And I'm like, dating other guys? Why? I mean, he's like, I need to talk to you. Okay. And so, because, he had been there the first week before school started, and he was all a jittery, nervous wreck. And I'm like, calm down already. You're not going to get married. Then I went out with Alan for a month, and then Spencer said, I need to talk to you. So I'm like, okay. So we went to a park, and he's like, well, he finally said, I love you. And I'm like, thanks. That's great. I didn't know what to do. Like, I didn't know what to say, because I'm like, I don't know if I love you back, really. It was kind of
you guys haven't gone out, really? I mean,
not by ourselves so much. It was just we were friends. We were just, it just kind of, I mean, yes, we had gone out here and there, but it was nothing super serious. We were just friends.
Good.
And so he said, I love you. And I'm like, thanks. But I feel like I've been hit with a baseball or something. I'm like, what? And so anyway, it just kind of was an up and down thing for the whole year. It was my last year of college. I was studying all the time, but it was just up and down, up and down. Do I like you? Do I not like you? I don't know. You drive me crazy. Well, you're fun. I mean, just kind of like, who is this guy? And anyway, I get right to the I get right to the end. I'm graduating, or I'm going to graduate soon. And I thought, well, okay, I can either get married, but that doesn't look like that's going to happen, or I can go to work, but then I'll be working for the rest of my life, or I could go on a mission. So I prayed about it. What do you want me to do, Heavenly Father? And I thought about it a lot, and I thought, I think I'm going to go on a mission. When I said that in my prayer, I said, I think after weighing the options, I think I'm going to go on a mission. I felt the Spirit so strongly. Yes, that's the right thing to do. I knew it. I am not even sure if I said amen at the end of that prayer. I jumped up. I ran out into the living room. I said to my roommate, guess what? And she said, this was a different roommate, Darice. Her name was Darice. She said, you're going on a mission. I'm like, how'd you know that? Because you're happy. And I'm like, yes, it's the right thing. I know it's the right thing. And so then I called up Spencer and I said, guess what? I'm going on a mission. Dead silence on the other end of the phone. And I'm like, hello? And then he was bawling. And I'm like, what? How come he's sad? Like, ugh. And so then I went to visit with him. And anyway, I just couldn't believe it. I'm like, this relationship goes up and down, up and down. Do you like me? Do you not like me? Up and down, up and down, up and down. And now he's sad that I'm going to go away. Gee whiz. Anyway, so yeah, I got ready to go on my mission and and we had a good conversation. We're like, all right, this is the official breakup. You never call me. And I said, yeah, and you never call me either. Like, we're done. The end. Don't want to talk to you ever again. Okay, good. Anyway, I'm telling you, it was just, you never knew it was on or off. You could, and this is
hilarious.
And
but the thing I loved about what you said a little while ago is you kept figuring out, what am I going to do? Am I doing this one? Am I doing this one? And you took time. It's called pondering.
Yeah.
We were told to ponder. We're told to ponder, read things, ponder them.
Right.
And then God didn't tell you, go do that. He waited for you to say, I think I'm going to do this. And he goes, yes, exactly. Yes.
Yeah, that's right. Well, and you remember I had said at age 15, I knew that I wanted to serve a mission, right? I'm like, oh, everybody's got to know this, right? They've got to know. Well, actually, as I got up to age 21, which was the right age for us to go at the time, the closer I got to that age, I actually felt more and more confused. And I thought, wait, I even had an interview with the bishop at the time, and I don't know, I got more and more confused the closer I got to the time. And that's why I thought, maybe I'm not supposed to go on a mission. Maybe I'm supposed to get engaged. And that's when Curtis showed up in my life. And I thought, okay, maybe I'm not supposed to serve a mission. Maybe I'm supposed to get married instead. So that was one of the reasons why I got engaged to Curtis, because I did not feel right about going on a mission at 21. But see, I had this whole experience of being engaged to him and learning about that. And it wasn't bad. He was a great guy. I have no regrets about it. He was really great. But later, yes, when I was 22, and I would have been 22 and a half when I left on my mission, the Spirit was very strong. Yes, this is the right thing to do. And later I thought that maybe this was the right thing because it actually gave Spencer time to grow up. And it gave him time to mature because he was rather immature. As we would walk along on the sidewalk, he would shove me off the sidewalk into the snow and think that was very funny. And I did not think that was very funny. I'm like, ooh, you are. And I don't know. It's
okay.
And so I'm like, I will not marry somebody who is not respectful to me. He's going to be nice to me. And so this is why I was just like, he was fun, but he drove me crazy. And so I thought, if I leave on a mission, give him time to grow up. I honestly thought it was going to take him 5 years to grow up, like long after I would come home from a mission. There's no way this guy would ever be ready to marry for me, because I'm just like, Anyway, so I did get ready to go, and I actually didn't have enough credits to graduate. The counselor at BYU said, you're missing credits. And so I had to go and take an extra bowling class. It was so maddening. I was just like, are you kidding me? Even my dad was mad. And he even yelled at the counselor on the phone, why did you tell her this before? Oh my goodness, because I was already home. I was home. I was having to do classes now through the correspondence, through, because we didn't have the internet back then. So I was having to mail my assignments in every day by 10 o'clock. And so I was staying up until like 2 a.m. every night trying to get these assignments done so I could go on my mission in the middle of July. And I'm like, I was dying. And I remember one night I was working on the computer, trying to get this assignment. It was history. That's my worst subject. And I was trying to do this assignment. All of a sudden, my eyes went blurry, like I couldn't see anything. And I'm like, I can't see. I literally couldn't see. And I just stopped. I stopped where I was. I closed my eyes and I said, Heavenly Father, help me. I have to get this assignment done by 10 o'clock when the mailman comes to pick up the mail tomorrow. I have to get this assignment done because I got to graduate. My dad said, you will graduate in no uncertain terms before you leave on your mission. So I had to get my classes done. I had 2 classes through the mail and I had bowling I had to do. And so I just prayed, please help me so I can see. And I waited and then I opened my eyes and it was clear. Tap, 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 tap. And that happened multiple times. And I would stop and I would pray, please help my eyes to be clear so I can keep going. Tap, 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 tap. And I got my class done and I got my diploma for BYU in the MTC. Wow. Whoa, I did it. I graduated. But because I was working so hard like that, I was working full time and then doing all my classes at night, until 2 a.m. I was so exhausted. Because I did that when I started my mission, I was exhausted. Instead of being all excited, I was so tired. And because I didn't leave when I thought I was going to and left when I was 22 and a half, my original enthusiasm had been lost. And it wasn't until I was in the MTC that I was able to get back that, genuine, woo, let's go kind of.
I know. We'll talk about your mission and stuff later, but isn't that just a special place?
Yes.
MTC is just such an incredible, special place.
Yeah, especially singing Called to Serve with hundreds of missionaries. Wow.
Yeah, it's just the devotional. Everything about it is just, it's an amazing place to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, good. Anything else you want to talk about on your college? We got a couple minutes still. If you had anything else you wanted to.
I will say that so here I am talking all about dating and boys. I spent most of my time doing homework. All my time doing homework, but these are the highlights. The highlights were, my interactions with Spencer or the friends, but all my time was spent doing the homework. But when I left on my mission, I had gone out with 50 different guys. 50. I kept a list of all their names and the one thing I didn't like about them. Because they were all good people. They were great people. But I said, well, what's the one thing that bugs you about this person? And I would just write, most of them were blank. Most of it was just one date and that was the end of it.
Yeah.
But, if I went out with them more than once or something, I would write, if I really like this person, there a possibility that I would marry or not. And Spencer was number 11. He was number 11 on the list, as in the order of the people I went out with. So I actually went out with him at the beginning, but I had gone out with 50 people before I left on my mission.
Wow.
And when I came home, I'm like, I'm going for another 50. It didn't work. It was a good idea.
No, but it sounds like, you kind of went to college to do what you go to college for, to get educated.
Yep.
Oh, weird.
And I got it. I got my degree. Yep.
What was your degree in?
It was in family science. Oh, and I forgot family science. I forgot to say that I actually worked for 3 years. I worked for BYU Laundry. I was
while you were there.
While I was there, I worked.
Does that help pay for?
To help pay for everything.
Awesome. Okay.
And I was a shirt presser and worked with machines that were 300 degrees hot all the time. And in the summer, that was bad. I would have to psych myself out and say, get ready to sweat. And all day long, just pressing all those shirts on those really hot machines was just, woo.
Well, then I think that's when you should have gone after work and gone up and grabbed, Spencer says, go dancing, see how you like it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. If he'd been around, huh?
Yeah, there you go. It's payback, baby.
Payback. Woo. It was hot for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, thank you.
Yes.
That brings us to the end of episode number 8. There'll be more. She'll get some prep ready and on her mission, and then life really, I'm sure, gets busy and fun. When you get married and have families, boy, you long for the college, you long for the all that. Yeah, it was so much easier then. Anyways, folks, thanks for listening, and she'll be back soon, and we'll go on to episode number 9. Until then, thank you for listening to Main Street, the Craig L. Hayes Show.